Hey everyone, my name is Sarah, and for the last 3 years I've been living in a camper with my little dog Luna, and today I'm finally going to share with you my 8 reasons why you should consider living in a camper too. Some of them might be obvious, but I think many of them might reasons you might not consider. I will not chat about the obvious ones too long so that we can dive into the deeper topics faster. That being said, I don't live in a camper to travel. For me, it's more like a cottage or little tiny house that is located at a permanent state in the German forest site or at the German forest site. So let's dive into the first reason, which is quite obvious, and it's minimalism. So whether you have been in touch with minimalism before or you haven't, this lifestyle will definitely force you to have at least like a certain degree of minimalism, because you have this limited space, and of course the stuff that you have has to be limited too, because you just can't put everything everywhere. You have to look, okay, which decoration do I choose? Which clothing do I want to keep or not? Because you have less things in your life, you might find yourself being more grateful along the way. This is something that happens to most people who live a more minimalistic lifestyle, even though they may not have been that minimalistic before the lifestyle. So you will feel more happy and fulfilled with the things that you have, and just in generally more grateful with what you have. And after time, most of the people also feel more grateful in their lives in general, which of course increases your overall happiness. So the next reason is maybe a bit controversial, the name I call it, financial freedom. Let me explain. What I mean by that is when you live this lifestyle, and it's also a low-cost lifestyle, at least for me, you don't have to do like what most people chase in life. You don't have to do your 9 to 5 that really burns you down or that you don't really like to afford, let's say, a house in a neighborhood where every house looks the same, or a bit more fancy, you buy your land, you put your, I don't know, big cottage on it or something. In a living situation like that, you always have to work so much, and you have to ensure that you keep this work ongoing. And for me, there's personally not much freedom in the thought of working so much in a job that you don't like to buy a house that is big and that just screams status in a way. With this lifestyle, you already have your very affordable mini home. And for me personally, I already have land around me, which is so beautiful. And for me, I wouldn't know why I would need more space, because for me personally, it's really enough. And I personally already have my little mini home at the forest side that I always dreamed of. And for a long time in my life, I didn't think it was possible to do it this way, but the way I did it, I don't have a loan that I need to pay off for many years, and I can be so flexible about what I do with my time, about how I get my money, and I also have so much free time now, and this gives me so much financial freedom. Also, you simply don't have to worry that much about money. So when you have a loan for, let's say, a big house or a small house on a big land, let's put it this way, you know in your mind, okay, for the next, let's say, 30 years, I have to work full time, maybe with extra shifts, to ensure that I pay this loan off. So I don't have this mental stress, and I don't have that in the back of my mind, because everything here is already paid. So the next reason for me is time. So you have this lifestyle where you don't have to have a lot of money, so you might work less. You have more time available. Also, you have much space you could possibly decorate, so you have more time. You don't spend a lot of time to think about, how could I decorate my space? What I do with this? What could I do with this room? Which new clothing could I buy? You have more time. You have a small space, so the cleaning time is very minimal. The reparation time is very minimal. I see actually around here in the neighborhood that people are repairing their roofs. Like there are 2 big houses where they need roof repairing, and another house which was like flooded with water, which is like for I think a year under construction. So these things you won't have with a camper. Of course, things break here as well, but the time you spend to reparate these things is so limited when I look in comparison to a big house. So you have more time available. Before I was a minimalist, I was actually a very consumerist girl, and I always looked for things that would fit me, like clothes that was so cute, and the little decorations, and which other baroque items can I buy for my flat. And this was so time consuming, and I also did this to compensate things, and I don't do this anymore, and this is very fulfilling, and it gives me so much more time for the things I actually enjoy. And the ton of extra time that you have, you can use, for example, to get a dog, to enjoy nature, to pursue your hobbies more, to pursue your dream, to go for your passions, to maybe one day make your passions an income, because you simply have the time to do that around maybe a job that isn't 9 to 5, where you have like lease hours. You can spend your time so much more efficiently on what you really burn for, on what you really live for, and you can also be much more flexible around these things. So if you want to change something, some of your priorities in this lifestyle, this is so easy. After all, the more stuff you own, the more your stuff owns you, because you need to take care of everything that you own. And after all, time is the most valuable resource we humans have. So reason number 4 might also be a bit controversial, but it's something that can be the effect of this lifestyle. And for me, it definitely is, which is health. Because you have more time, you can choose your time more wisely. Most of the time, you also reflect a bit more, and you have a greater look on what is really good for you. So you might also prioritize your health, your well-being. You might connect with yourself more. You might connect with nature more. You might connect with your needs more, what your body needs, what your mind needs. You nourish healthy relationships more. You might nourish your self-care more, and you might also rest more. You have the time to look at your diet more, so you might eat healthier. You might move more. You have the time for it. You can do your daily walks or your daily yoga, and that also increases your health. And also the better you feel and the more healthy you are, the more you will expand your lifespan, and therefore you have even more time. Reason number 5 is sustainability. So you have this little space where you live, which equals nature has more space, which is kind of obvious. Then you have less space to heat. So there is less gas that you have to use to heat your space. Also, in a camper, you usually use much less electricity, because you don't need to light a whole room, and usually you also don't have like the sound and whatever set up electronically that you would have in a flat. For me, it makes a huge difference. So I use much less electricity. Also, you might use less water, and that's definitely the case for me. So I've been a bather, and I love to bathe, and I still do sometimes, but I can't do this anymore here, so I use much less water. But also, when you are not a bathing person, the pressure that you can wash yourself and, I don't know, your dishes, whatever with, here in a camper is much less effective than the one you would have in a house or in a flat. So this effectiveness also means that you simply lose less water, which is very sustainable also. Also, you have much less material belongings, and you can't buy so much stuff because of the space. So that's very good for nature too, because you spend less resources on belongings very generally. And of course, if you don't travel with your camper, if you are located at this very same spot the whole time you live in your camper, you of course also do something very good for the environment with that. So reason number 6 is flexibility. If I want to move theoretically someday with my camper, it would be much easier than if I would have, like, let's say a little house or something and I would move from there. So my camper, I can just like at least quite easily put it somewhere else in the world where I potentially would want to live. But if you live in a house, you have to pack up so much stuff and you have to invest so much money for moving to another place. You have to renovate the old house, you have to renovate the new house, you have to paint everything, and then you want to maybe decorate everything again. And the whole process is just so huge. And as mentioned before, because of the less time that you need to spend on so many things, you have much more flexibility in your very general time. You want to work that way now, do it. You want to do that hobby now, cool. You want to have 10 dogs, all right, let's do it. So you have just more flexibility in your life very, very generally. You can prioritize on this year, and you can prioritize on a completely different thing the next year, because you have not made yourself like a golden cage where you can't act differently in different stages of your life. Reason number 7 is something that goes very deep into my heart, which is the connection to nature. So if you choose your camper to be at a spot around nature, which I think most of the people will, you are so connected to nature, and I hear everything that's going on here. I hear the wind, I hear the birds. I am not separated from nature the way you would be in a house or a flat. Also because it's not that isolated, like the isolation here. So I definitely just hear everything that's going on. It's so beautiful, and I'm part of every season here so much more deeply than I would have been in every other lifestyle that I could have imagined before. And this is something that gave me so much over the last years, and is one of my personal big reasons why I live this way. I always wanted to live by the forest side and really with nature, and here I had the chance to really do that, and I love it from the bottom of my heart. The last reason is something that is a result of all the other reasons, which is peace and clarity. So you are more connected to nature, you are more connected to yourself, you live more sustainable, you have much more time for whatever you prioritize, you have much more flexibility around these priorities, you can set new ones whenever you want to, you need less money, and you're just more free, and you prioritize ideally your health more and do the things that really do you good. You reflect more, so you also know more of what's good for you. You may grow in a way that you wouldn't be able to grow in a lifestyle where you always chase material things and validation around those things. And for me, this is very, very visible. It's not only because I live in a camper and because of my minimalistic lifestyle, it's also the way that I am. So I'm someone who just seeks this health and this kind of happiness. But I think eventually it will get to most people who live this way. It's also not easy the whole time. Life never is easy the whole time. You get in touch with everything that slow living has to offer, and your gratefulness and deeper meaning will increase eventually, and you just have so much more time and peace, and maybe also clarity if you use that time wisely. And yeah, it's just an embrace of coziness in a way, also for me. Like, it's so romantic. I don't know, just sitting in the garden, seeing the sunset, seeing the sunrise, hearing every bird that's around my camper, even when I'm inside my camper, and walking here in the snow when nearly no one before did that day. And it's just so beautiful. Or lying in my bed and relaxing, just looking at the little candle and the little plants that I had here, the little decorations, and I'm so grown with this lifestyle in the last 3 years, and I really wouldn't miss that time. So I wish you all a good day or night whenever you are watching this. Take care of yourself and see you in the next one. Bye bye.